Yo, it's the kid, 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 it's the kid. So you're back here for another interesting half hope sorts live segment. So I thought, you know what, let me just expand things out into the NBA. So again, I was just browsing through YouTube, but I just do YouTube browsing and everything. But every often once in a while, I always sort of go back to that fateful night or whatsoever, 20 something, 2011, 2012. I don't even know when the years of before your boy Danny T here. The game six, Miami Heat against the San Antonio Spurs, in my opinion, probably one of the craziest finishes to an NBA game that I've probably ever seen. So we want, and I think, I always like doing what if scenarios, as in what would have happened if a certain event didn't take place. So it's almost like a sci-fi Back to the Future kind of thing of like, what are the kinds of events that would have taken place if a certain thing did not happen? Because I just think it's almost like the butterfly effect, if you've seen the film. If you change one thing, it will have a ripple effect and change so many things in the future. So to sort of discuss, I have my NBA experts, the man who gave Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless a career, the guy who is the truth sayer and all things basketball, the leading name in basketball expertise. No one knows more about this. Pops, I think he's won like about 5-6 sporting awards, experts as basketball writer, and so forth. The definitive voice in all things NBA, Daniel Tillock. What up, baby?
You gotta joke these intros. Yeah, I'm fine. But you know what? I'll take that one on NBA more than I'll take it on the hip hop one. On the Jay Electronica we did, that was over the top. That might actually be kind of accurate, except for the Stephen A. Skip Bayless thing. But go ahead.
Okay, so look and say so basically look, I think I don't know where I even want to start with this, because I don't even want to start at the Ray Allen thing because so much stuff happened before. So maybe I'll just jump off and then I'll kick it to Danny T. Now, I was sort of lukewarm with LeBron when he was on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was like, okay, look, man, next big thing and so forth. He has everything. I mean, he's literally just carrying a whole franchise by himself. He's seen as the new Jordan. Okay, like I don't really see it, but okay, it's all cool. But I think this is the best place to jump off was when he moved to the Miami Heat, and they set up that kind of super team. Maybe people would argue like they're the first of its kind, which was him, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and this was seen as sort of like the super team. And the infamous thing of like not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, and so forth. So let me start there. What was your personal feelings about the so-called decision and the manner in which LeBron went to Miami Heat and what he was forming in Miami Heat? Did you feel it was a cheat team? Did you feel he was justified in setting that up? What were your feelings towards that?
At the time, that was 2010, I think. Yeah, it was 2010. And we have to think what was happening in the NBA summer of 2010. You just had you just had Kobe Bryant won back-to-back titles in 2009, 2010. And in 2 of those 3 years, you had the Boston Celtics in 2008 and 2009 reach the NBA Finals. And they had Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. So they had their own kind of big three, with Rajon Rondo, coached by Doc Rivers, who was one of the best NBA coaches in modern history. Players like Big Baby Davis, I think Eddie House, Tony Allen might have been on those teams as a hell of a defensive player. So you have this juggernaut in the East in the Boston Celtics. And if you're LeBron and you're looking at this, you're thinking, damn, for the next... I mean, obviously he got to the 2005, I want to say, NBA Final. No, 2007.
Oh yeah, I think that was the blowout against the Spurs.
Right, but that was before the Boston Celtics had formed their own super team. So the Boston Celtics were formed 2007, 2008. So LeBron gets to the finals, gets swept by the Spurs, and then you have this transaction where I think Ray Allen goes from the Sonics to the to the Celtics. Kevin Garnett goes from the Timberwolves to the Celtics. Paul Pierce stays. And LeBron's probably looking at this like, okay, I have a few years left on my contract. They're never going to trade me. I would never leave Cleveland, probably is what he's thinking. But how do I get over these three all-time players on one team? So I'm sure when he's looking at it in 2010, and you have the free agency coming up, hey, Dwayne Wade's a free agent, Chris Bosh is a free agent. The idea was to get Carmelo, but Carmelo decided this money that's on the table in New York, I'm taking that cash. There's no way I'm not taking that cash. We don't know Melo's about his money.
But real quick, though, if you're Carmelo, do you stay with the cash or do you try and actually go for a championship?
Well, Carmelo had his own little thing where it was Carmelo, it was Amari Stoudemire, but I think Amari was broken by then. But those Knicks were like the J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, Carmelo, Tyson Chandler, Amari Stoudemire. That was a good team, but it was never obviously going to beat like the Heat or the Celtics. Or I think what was left of the Pistons, but I think that might be a little bit too far. The Pistons, because like that group, the Billups, Hamilton, the two Wallaces, and Tayshaun Prince, I never know when that era ends. So I know that.
So like, the team that won it in 2004.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Who beat the Lakers? But like when that team actually ended, along with the Pacers, like that. And like the Ron Artest Pacers before like the Malice in the Palace and everything. But anyway, we're in 2010. So LeBron's like, bruh, I need a squad. And his boys that were in the same draft, I think Chris Bosh was in that draft. I think Dwayne Wade was in that draft. Carmelo, no, I don't. Chris Bosh might have been the one before.
Wait, was Carmelo before or after LeBron?
Carmelo was in the same draft. So I know it was, but I think Bosh was in that draft. I think so. I'm not sure. I mean, we could just look it up, like 2004 NBA draft, just so I can give this proper context. 2003.
Because that would be key just to know whether he was.
Yeah. Okay, so the 2003 NBA draft, LeBron went 1, Darko Milicic went 2, and they won the title. So is what it is. Melo went 3. Bosh went 4, Wade went 5. So they all came out in the same draft. And the idea was it was going to be LeBron, Carmelo, and D Wade. But as I said, Carmelo took his money with the Knicks, and Chris Bosh was in Toronto. Toronto were trash, trust me. Vince Carter had asked for a trade around those times. He was in New Jersey doing his thing. So like that team was really bad. So now you have a choice to make. Does Dwayne Wade leave Miami and go to Cleveland, or does LeBron leave Cleveland and go to Miami? If you're looking at it from a lifestyle perspective, the state taxes, how does all this money get spread around? There's really no argument, really. We're gonna go to Dwayne Wade's team in Miami. So when that team formed, and I remember the choices, LeBron could go to the Knicks, he could stay in Cleveland. Is he gonna go to the West? He was never going to the West because the West was stacked. So he was obviously going to go to a team in the East. And I was like, Miami makes the most sense, especially once you consider they don't have state taxes and the money that you're going to have to cut in order to get all these three on the same team and then fill in the roster. It makes way more sense to do it that way. So when he said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, I was like, ooh, like I wasn't mad or anything. I remember that day when.
Okay, so you were actually happy. So you were like, no, I actually wanted LeBron to.
I wasn't happy. I wasn't angry. I just understood what this meant for the league. In terms of you have, Dallas, LA, the Spurs, the Suns, I'm trying to think if there were any really other good teams in 2010 in the West. But those were like the general heavy hitters.
Wait, what were they? Did the Trailblazers still have Lillard and?
No, this was before that. Before that. But yeah, so when he went, I was like, ooh, this makes it interesting because now he has a team to go against the Celtics. And then when Ray Allen left as well, but that was obviously the season that it was this season, I think, where Ray Allen left. in 2013. But when they went, it was still the Boston Celtics Big Three. So when that happened, I was like, yes, like it's going to be a rivalry. But we'll get into the ramifications of the Big Three, I'm sure, later. So
no. So basically, my thing about it is this: is that I think it is good to sort of bring the other side, because I think there was definitely a perception, and for me, because again, I remember when he did that, and I remember watching First Take, watching people's reactions and so forth, and how sort of LeBron pretty much became the villain. So my thing is that why was he so much the villain? Because from the explanation that she gave, it makes very much sense based on anyone creating a big team. But I think that we have to look at that whole not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8.
That was a bit, yeah. That made me uncomfortable because
I think that's what people the wrong way.
See, that made me uncomfortable because I knew what he was setting himself up for in terms of, once you say not 5, not 6, not 7, you're saying you're going to win 8 chips, man. So one, that means you're saying we're going to stay in Miami for the better part of a decade, which didn't happen. Then you're saying like we won't lose. And then when you get what happened in the 2011 finals, it's just like, yo, so y'all said not 5, not 6, not 7, but the Dallas Mavericks came and said, what's up? So it put egg on their faces to where in 2012, if they had lost to the Thunder, man.
Oh, no. But my thinking is this, because I think in LeBron's head is, I literally being the sole superstar on a bunch of bricks, I was able to at least take these games, did this team to a finals. So his thing is that, logically speaking, if you put my crazy talents with a top talent like a Dwayne Wade and a medium to top talent like a Chris Bosh, we simply can't lose. So I think from his mind, it's like, no, there is no way for us to lose. And I think, see, my thing about it is that I always support a David over a Goliath. And I always root for the smaller guy and everything. And I think it's not only that he set himself up for failure, I think he definitely somewhat made himself a villain. But see, that's why it's weird though, because I understand why he would be a villain for Cleveland, 100%. But if you're not a Cavaliers fan and you're just a regular fan and so forth, why would you see LeBron as a villain? Or maybe it's a case of there is something within us that loves to see people who prop themselves up and then see them fail. You know, so it's like when that whole Dallas Mavericks thing went down, guys like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. You thought you were going to beat everyone and destroy everyone. And also, I think as well, because I really didn't like LeBron during this time. I just felt that there was something arrogant about him and so forth. And I saw much change when I just saw how vociferous people were when he lost to Mavericks. I said, oh, cool, guys, chill. I mean, okay, yeah, I think you're going something over the edge in how much you're sort of reveling in his failure. But you could see there was a sense of like an arrogance. Because I think there was one thing in the Mavericks game.
It was justified arrogance, though.
No. But there was one thing in the Mavericks game where, like, I think Dirk Nowitzki, he might have had an injury or something, and him and Wade were sort of like pretending to cough, sort of like mocking his injury and so forth. Yeah. So his mannerism sort of seemed a bit like, okay, this guy just seems a bit arrogant because he feels like, I'm in Miami, I'm next to Wade, we're the superstar team, the spotlight is on us, we're pretty much going to form a dynasty that's just going to just destroy everyone. So I think once that happened, there's just something within people that, oh, we love to see the arrogant sort of quote-unquote villains fail. And the small guy defeat the bigger guy, if you know what I mean.
I got you. But like, I think LeBron's arrogance was justified. Do you remember the MV Puppets? It was a Nike campaign that had LeBron and Kobe Bryant. They were puppets and they were living in the same space. And you had Kobe who had his 3 or 4 rings. And that 2010 NBA Finals, or was it the 2009 NBA Finals? It was the 2009-2010 season, I think. That finals was supposed to be LeBron v. Kobe, because LeBron took, I think, that Cleveland team to over 60 wins. It might have been 62 wins or 61 wins with that Cavs team. And if you go back and look, I mean, they were okay, but they weren't anything to write home about. And he took them to over 60 wins They had home court advantage throughout the whole playoffs, and they lose to the Celtics, I think, in the conference semifinals. And then I think Orlando was in the mix, and then Boston obviously went to the finals and lost to LA. So that series, no, Orlando beat Boston, and then it was the Dwight Howard Magic, excuse me, against Kobe.
The Lakers.
Right, against Kobe for that.
Oh man, that pained me, man. That was my only chance of seeing the Magic win.
Yeah, man. But like that was supposed to be LeBron's time. That was supposed to be Bron versus Kobe, and he had he had to.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, if anybody hasn't seen MV Puppets, it's one of the best marketing campaigns, or just like television commercial campaigns. I love those commercials. They're great. So LeBron's arrogance is deserved, but once you lose to the Celtics again, it's just like, God damn, like I need a squad. And then you go with your boys, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. It's just like, yo, like, and I'm not sure how many games they won in 2011. I mean, I could probably look it up. So give me a second. Yeah, okay. They won 58 games. Chicago won 62. Like, damn. Okay.
Was that when Derrick Rose was still there?
Yeah, I think that was Derrick Rose's MVP.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they won 58 games. Boston won 56. Orlando won 52, and then you have the trash. But yeah, I mean, just that moment that you pointed where this is live.
Yeah, of course. Oh, you didn't know? Yes, it's live.
I thought you were gonna edit this.
Nah, bro, it's live, bro. So yeah, so all that checking and everything, man. Yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know. Like, you started putting up comments. I was like, what the hell? Are there comments? But anyway, yeah. So yeah, that point where you brought up, they were mocking Dirk Nowitzki in the finals. It just laid even further into them being the villains. So then when they got their comeuppance, I think people had a mean reaction isn't really the right word, but it was just like a aha moment. Like, you guys thought you were going to do X, Y, Z, but you didn't. So ha ha ha, But then the next year, like 2012, that Thunder team was really good.
Let's pause there. See, now we dealt with the Mavericks. LeBron was hated and so forth. So the pressure was on. So they beat the Thunder. Mm-hmm. And you know why I didn't give him that win? The team was too young.
Yes.
Supremely talented Thunder team. And I think I remember, did they play the Spurs in the Western Conference Final?
I'm not sure.
So because I remember the game they had, and I remember it was a crazy game. It was like 3-3, 3-3. So I remember how crazy that game was.
They did. I looked it up. They did. They beat them in 6 games.
Yeah, because I remember like the last few minutes of that game was crazy. I think even me and my brother were just discussing about how crazy that game was, and so forth. So
what's wild about 2013? Now that we bring this up, if we just want to get into this playoff run, do you remember what Patrick Beverley and what he did in 2013? Where the Thunder were actually the favorites to come out of the West. And Patrick Beverley went for a steal, injured Russell Westbrook. He missed the entire rest of the playoffs. And I think that offseason, James Harden went to the Rockets. So it was KD, Westbrook. Westbrook goes down. San Antonio takes advantage of an open road to the NBA Finals, which I thought was wild, because that was meant to be the Thunders. That was meant to be Westbrook and Kevin Durant, that year older, more experienced, and now they can actually go mano a mano against Wade and LeBron.
Wait, so what was was it 4-1 when they played, or 4-2?
4-1. It was 5 games. It was 5 games in 2012.
4-1. So yeah, but for me, even if they won that, obviously it was huge that LeBron, like, he finally won his first ring. I think there was just a feeling that we can't give you that if you didn't beat a peak team. So we can't. Same thing as how, like, Lakers, they wanted LeBron and the Cavs, but they got the Magic. But you could tell that Kobe wanted, I want the best. And I know that Magic really wasn't the best. So it just felt like, even if I wanted the Magic to win, I knew that it was an underwhelming final, because that's something the final that people wanted. So
Can you highlight that comment? It says they really picked Ibaka over Harden, SMH.
Who's it by? Oh yeah, okay, oh yeah.
Ibaka over Harden in 2012 and 2011-ish. That actually made sense. Because if you remember, the disaster class that James Harden produced against the Miami Heat, any GM worth their salt would have gone with the rim protector big man and paired him because he would have been less money. Like James Harden was an ass against like the Miami Heat. And I don't think anybody really projected that, he's going to go to Houston and be allowed to shoot 3,000 threes in a game and step back this and step back that and drop 40 points almost on the regular. So at that time, Ibaka over Harden actually did make some logical sense. But I just want to say that because people always like, I can't believe they did that. When you go back and you look at the performance James Harden had against the Heat where he was non-existent as the sixth man, like you can understand why that happened. But 2013, what do you want to talk about, man?
Okay, so my thing here is that I think that once it was said that we had the Spurs and the Heat, it was like, boom. Now this is what we want. So it was a relatively sort of straightforward road for the Spurs to the final. I think so. This is when obviously Westbrook got injured.
Yes.
Was this the crazy LeBron game against Boston at the Garden? Was that the year prior?
I think it might have been the year before. Because I don't think Miami.
I think it was the year before because there was so much pressure on him on that game.
No.
Yeah.
It was the year before where he went crazy in the fourth. This was the season where I think Carmelo actually made it to the second round of the playoffs.
Oh, with New York.
Because they beat Boston in the first round, and everybody was like, hey, Carmelo actually made it to the second round of the playoffs. And then they lost to the Pacers, and then the Pacers took Miami to 7 games, if anybody remembers.
Yeah. With what's his name? That dude that sort of blew
Lance Stevenson.
Yeah.
I love Lance.
Crazy dude. So it's okay. So basically, so I think
and Roy Hibbert as well. Who else was in that team? Like was Paul George in those teams? I think he was.
Yeah,
Paul George was in those
teams. Paul George was there. And what's the name of that dude with really big muscles?
Ooh,
bald head, quite.
David West.
Yes, West. Yeah. So
bald with big muscles.
Look at it, yeah.
Like every NBA player ever.
Okay, so how many rings did Tim Duncan have coming into this game? Coming into this final.
1999, 2003, 2005, 2007, and I think that's it. So 4.
Man, he had 4. Okay, so he had 4. And my thing about it, I was like, boom, because for me, this was a great series, super series. So now I don't know whether you have it next to you. Do you know what was? So I mean, if anybody in the live chat can tell me what was the split with regards to game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, because obviously Antonio obviously must have stolen a game before we go into game 5. So I don't know what the results were in the game 1, game 2, game 4. So basically, if anybody in the live chat can tell us, put it in there. Like who won game 1, game 2, game 3,
for sure. San Antonio won game 1. I remember that. The other ones, I have no idea. So let me type this in.
See, no, I mean, because I
NBA
think
Finals got it. Okay, so San Antonio won game 1, 92-88. So they were up 1-0. Miami came back and won. See, what another interesting thing about this is this might have been the last season or the season before last where they stopped doing 2-3-2.
Yeah. That was weird.
So it was 2 games in Miami, 3 games in San Antonio, and then 2 games in Miami. They did that. They did that because normally it goes 2 games at home, 2 games away, a game at home, a game away, a game at home. But because the NBA Finals was always, or there was a big likelihood that it would be the Celtics versus the Lakers, they were like, Leo, we don't want to fly these guys from Boston to LA and then LA to Boston 3 times in a course of a week. So let's just do all the home games at one go. But yeah. So Spurs won game 1, Heat win game 2, Spurs win game 3, Miami win game 4. San Antonio win game 5. So they went back and forth. It was Spurs, Heat, Spurs, Heat, Spurs, Heat.
Okay. So
Heat in game 7.
Okay, so who won game 5? It was Spurs.
Yes, and that was, I think that might have been the Danny Green game where he just went nuts. No. That was game 3. Do you remember when Danny Green was like,
oh no, that guy was a sharpshooter. Yeah.
I love it. Danny Green went to the University of North Carolina, which, as you know, is my favorite school. And he was in a national championship team with players you would know, maybe Ty Lawson. Tyler Hansbrough, you might not know, but he's like one of the greatest college basketball players of all time. Wayne Ellington, who I think is still in the league. Those kinds of players. But Danny Green was like the 6th man on that team as a senior, his 4th year. And nobody really expected like Danny Green to be like a factor on that kind of level in the NBA. But I think he's had the best NBA career of anybody on that Tar Heels team. And it just speaks to the kind of professionalism or just the great coach that Greg Popovich is, that he's able to get every ounce out of the people that he gets, because the Spurs were always in like the Final Four, as it were. They were always in the semifinals of the finals of their conference or the finals. No.
Basically, for me, I liken Popovich to like a peak Mourinho. Like he's really like a manager that just squeezes the best out of players.
He's super tactical as well. Like we'll talk about the whole thing they did with Diaw and LeBron, because that's kind of crucial to how this game ended. But like finding like the Popovich and the Spurs organization, their ability to find, like, obviously they got really lucky with getting Tim Duncan as the number 1 pick. But finding Tony Parker, finding Manu Ginobili, finding like Thiago Splitter was a factor in this series. I remember like Skip Bayless he was in love with Thiago
Splitter.
Like Boris Diaw was a bum. He was like playing with the Bobcats. He was so bad. And he goes to San Antonio, and I guess because, he has the French connection with Tony Parker, he just feels more comfortable, and they like found like something. So yeah, that organization up until like recently has been really, really fantastic. So what they did with Danny Green, where he was just out there just dropping threes. He might have had like a record of most. I think he might have had the record of most threes in a final, like in a final series. Like he was that hot. Maybe up until like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, when the Warriors.
No, for me, I think the Spurs, for me, because I was always one of those guys that said, well, in basketball, is as long as you just have like 2 or 3 superstar players, it's really down to the players, and the coach is just this. Which is why I never really give Steve Kerr that much credit for what he does for the Warriors. But I think whenever I looked at the Spurs, I was like, no, this is coaching. Yes, there are some good, solid players here.
It's tactics,
but there's a lot of tactics that Popovich is using. Like he's beating a lot of teams guys that have better, much more stylish players than
the corner 3 that everybody kind of shoots now. Like people like what's the guy from the Rockets? A bald dude with muscles.
Oh, no, it's not Trevor Ariza. No, it's
nah. Oh man, and he has like a great shoe collection, and his name is slipping my mind. PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker, man. He has a career off shooting corner threes for the Rockets. Like that's his go-to shot. Not Eric Gordon, man. Yeah, but it's just a bald dude with muscles, man. Everybody in the NBA basically, but yeah, like that corner 3. That's like it's the best shot in basketball because it's worth the most points and it's from the closest from 3. So they really took advantage of that shot. and just innovative things. Like, do you remember they were like the first to do this load management thing? And it might have been a Christmas game or there was some high profile game where the Heat played the Spurs in the regular season, and Popovich rested Ginobili, Parker, Duncan, and Kawhi.
I distinctly remember that, and then some people
and they got fined. I think they got fined like, I don't know if it was $500,000 or $250,000 or something, but that kind of idea of load management, they were doing that way before anybody. So,
no. He's
innovative things that the Spurs did to maximize the aging Duncan, Parker, Ginobili.
He's one of the greatest NBA managers of all time, easily.
For sure. Easily. I think he's the greatest. I think Popovich might be the best coach ever. Maybe you could argue Pat Riley or Red Auerbach or Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, obviously. But but Phil Jackson, I have peak Shaq, peak Kobe, peak Jordan, peak Gotti. Phil Jackson is the Pep Guardiola.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Phil Jackson is literally Pep Guardiola. He literally is Pep Guardiola.
And like he has his triangle offense, which could be considered like tiki taka. Like he's good, but like the players that you have matter. Because like when Phil Jackson, he almost had Kobe ready to go. If you remember, before they traded for Pau Gasol.
Yeah, and also, you know what? I would say that what's his name? Doc Rivers is like Ancelotti. Like people just like him. And I just think he's the best with the player rapport and so forth. So I'll say he's naughty. Okay, so game 6 now.
Game 6. Let's get it.
Okay, so obviously you've watched it recently, but I still have it etched in my
They showed it on ESPN like 2 days ago. So
basically, this for me, because I remember exactly where I was when I was watching it. I remember the room I was in. I remember because I had to watch it via a link and everything, so I was watching it on my laptop. Mm-hmm. So I was. Again, for me, I always do this in sports. I always go for like whether they wanted to look at the underdog or the David. I really, really wanted the Spurs to win. I so wanted the Spurs. So I was fully like, yes, let's get LeBron down. Let's get these Miami Heat guys that. I think they're so cool. So I was so going for the Spurs and everything.
Shameless, bro. So you were like a little Skip Bayless-ish. Just like kind of rooting for.
Not as extreme as Skip Bayless, but I was like, I felt that, no, but you know what it was? I felt that the Spurs were built organically.
Yes.
And the Miami Heat just for me felt like a cheat team.
Well, there is an idea that first pick to get Tim Duncan should have really been the Boston Celtics. Who were coached by, I believe, Calipari, if you know anything about college basketball. He now coaches or was it Rick Pitino who was with the Celtics? It's one of those college coaches, Pitino, an Italian Pitino, Calipari, one of those guys. They think kind of like what the NBA did with Patrick Ewing, where he shouldn't have gone to the Knicks, but they wanted him with the Knicks. There was some idea that Duncan should have gone to the Celtics, but the Spurs did something, and that first pick went to them when it shouldn't have. And they got Tim Duncan, paired him with David Robinson, the Twin Towers, and then they won the chip. So
Robertson was good, man.
It's cool. But yeah, like I don't know how clean it is really. Maybe that's like an idea. How clean are the Spurs really?
look, no team is ever fully clean, man. But for me, they were cleaner than Miami Heat in my view.
Fair enough.
So
so
I was rolling with the Spurs.
The Heat aren't dirty, bro. This is my thing. I don't know why people say, like, you might not like what they did, but everything they did was legal. And this is my thing. I like the players having agency to do what they want to do. And fans don't like this. Fans don't like this. But
wait, let me be clear. Let me be clear here. I fully love the freedom that players have in the NBA, 100%. So my thing was, it was the kind of aura they created. Because for me, one of the things I hate more than anything in anyone is arrogance. And there was just a sense of arrogance from the Heat and LeBron that I just didn't like. Hence why we will have to get there. I switched when LeBron went to the Cavaliers. I loved it. I I think me and most people just switched and began to love LeBron when he now returned back to Cleveland. But when he was at Miami, something just felt as if, oh, he thinks he's too cool. He thinks he's this big. So I just didn't like that. So I was like,
it's the perception that you didn't like.
Perception, perfect. The perception. So for this game 6, I was like, okay, guys, let's ride, let's go through. So since you've watched it recently, just sort of,
I should have taken notes, but
but fine, just a summation of what's led up to the last kind of minutes or minutes and a half of the fourth quarter.
What was interesting was to end the third quarter, I think the Spurs were up by 10 points.
Wait. Do everything up until Kawhi has the free throws.
That's a lot.
No, just a quick summation. Just a quick summation.
Okay, so the fourth quarter opens, and I believe the Spurs were either up by 10 or they were up by 12. And Miami start the fourth quarter with the ball because they won the opening tip. So LeBron comes down, I think. He passes to Mario Chalmers in the corner, hits a 3. So the lead's down to 7. Spurs go down. I think Manu Ginobili misses an open 3-pointer. LeBron comes down, dunks it. The lead's down to like 8 or 6 or something like that. And from there, like the Spurs actually closed the third quarter out fairly well. But then LeBron just kind of had his little moment. And I think he scored 6 points or 5 points after that 3. The Heat took the lead briefly. I think with around 4 or 5 minutes left, they were winning the game. And then San Antonio went on actually Tony Parker, who had a really bad game.
Tony Parker was insane.
No, he had a horrible game. He had a horrible game up until the last 90 seconds.
Yeah. No. Basically, there was just a section where he was just going through.
So I think there was a minute and 30 seconds left. Spurs were down by 3 points. I think it was 86-89. And Tony Parker hits a 3 to make it 89-89. I think it was LeBron. And then the Spurs get a stop. Tony Parker goes down and hits this wild teardrop floater that. The little that
was the one I remember
that he was really famous for hitting.
Yeah.
So San Antonio are up by 2 points. I think it's 91-89. Miami gets the ball. LeBron turns it over. And then San Antonio had a fast break. And Ray Allen did this 2 or 3 times where Ginobili has the ball. He should have 2 points and the Spurs should go up by 4. But Ray Allen takes a critical foul and he puts Ginobili on the line. Ginobili, I think, makes both. But before he had missed 1 of 2. Then the Heat get the ball. They're down by 4 points. LeBron goes into the lane again, and he turns it over again. And then they have another kind of fast break opportunity. Ginobili, who had just made 2 free throws, splits a pair. So now the Spurs are up by 5 points with, I think, 30 seconds left. And I'll just give you the facts on the ground before I get into what I think they should have done. But yeah, they're up by 5 points. And this is where things kind of start going crazy. So that LeBron takes a 3. He misses it. The ball gets tipped up in the air. Kawhi almost has it, but Dwayne Wade, Mike Miller, they're around him. It gets tapped out. Mike Miller finds LeBron, who had just missed a 3, wide open, and with 20 seconds left, LeBron hits a 3 from the angle, and the game is now a 2-point game with 20 seconds left. I think the Spurs take a timeout. They advance the ball into their court. They don't have any timeouts left. Tim Duncan is taking the ball out. He finds Kawhi. Kawhi's immediately fouled.
And there's another 2 free throws.
And now they're up by 2. Keep in mind, Kawhi Leonard is 21 years old.
He's a youngin. He's a youngin.
Yeah, this isn't the same Kawhi that we know now. I think there was even a graphic. There was even a graphic that they showed that I think he had like 60% free throw shooting in the playoffs, or like 65 somewhere in there. So he wasn't a really good free throw shooter at this point. So for him to even split a pair was closer to his percentage. If he was an 80% free throw shooter like Ginobili, who had just missed one before, that would have been worse. But yeah, that whole sequence.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, so we go to the Kawhi thing, and like again, when he missed the first one, I was like, oh, damn. Yeah. Okay. So then when he because then obviously because I knew about this guy's, I know he was obviously talked about a lot, and he was obviously seen as this young up and comer, but still a young up and comer.
Then when he nobody knew. Again, nobody knew, and it's another testament to the Spurs. Nobody knew this guy was going to be a Finals MVP the next year, that he was going to lead the Toronto Raptors to an NBA championship, that he would have the Clippers in contention, or maybe even the favorites to win the league. Like, nobody knew that at this point. He was just like, this is an interesting.
Wait, and also wasn't he Finals MVP the next year?
Yeah.
So,
but nobody knew this then. But it's what the Spurs do. They take talent and they just develop the talent. You know?
Okay, so when he scored that, in my mind, I was like, all right, it would have been perfect if he had made the two. But Spurs are doing so good, they should be all right. Now, I don't know, you must have noticed this, because this was etched in my brain. So for most of the game, LeBron was wearing his headband. And I remember, because things had gotten so desperate,
he got knocked off.
Bro, you can put it back. Because, let me tell you my rationale. And my rationale was that things had gotten so desperate. His legacy was on the line. That he was, you know what? I'm not even going to put the head back on. It's now real. Screw my hairline, insert my hairline. It's now real right now. And I was like, you know what? This is it. Because there was a feeling that these guys are done. And I think for Miami Heat, and you could see the desperation within the Miami Heat, where they knew that, and even the crowd, there's a feeling within the crowd that, bro, I think these guys could do us.
Do you know what's wild is watching it again? Like, obviously I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't remember the sequence exactly of what happened, because I hadn't watched the game again since 2013, I guess. And when Kawhi was shooting his free throws, there were people behind him in Miami. Now, you have to think, Miami was a notoriously poor crowd in terms of, I don't know if you remember those Heat teams, but like every third quarter, because people went out to get concessions and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. You know, the arena it looked like it was empty, or like people weren't there. Because the Heat crowd, I don't know what it is about Miami. Maybe the weather's too nice that people just don't want to be inside, and they want to go to the beach and see some women in thongs or rollerblade or whatever they want to do. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, there were people leaving the stadium when Kawhi was taking his free throws. Like, you could see them, like when they did the close up on his face to shoot, you could see them leaving in the background. And I think they did like a close up on like the Spurs bench or the Heat bench, and there were people behind them trying to leave so they could get a jump on traffic. Yeah, like there was a sense of desperation, or just not even desperation, but just acceptance that it's happening to us again. This is kind of like the Mavericks part 2.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't think LeBron gets enough credit for that three that he hits to cut the lead from 5 to 3.
That was key.
Or no, from 5 to 2 rather. Sorry.
No, because remember, even when he hit that 3, I was like, damn. But it was almost as if LeBron was like, you know what? This is just the best that I can do here.
Yeah.
But you could even tell by his body language that I'm doing the best I can, but I will accept all the insults you give me here. So we come to...
Wait a minute. There's one interesting point that I think needs to be said here. And I was going to say it while I was narrating the game, but, you know, it's more important to be said here. And this is just a basketball nerd point, that I don't know I've heard anybody make, but when I was watching the game, I thought about it, and I was like, this is like a perfect strategy if there's less than 24 seconds left on the shot clock. So, synchronized drinking. So, the Spurs are up by 5 points with 28 seconds left. On LeBron's first attempt from the top of the key, they could have fouled. If you try to foul him when he shoots, you risk potential for them to like call a foul in the act of shooting, and then they get three free throws, which it's not the worst if it's LeBron, because I think his probably free throw percentage was maybe around 70-75%. But you're guaranteeing them points in the act of shooting, and you don't want to give somebody 3 free throws. But when he misses, and in that kind of scramble melee thing, I think Ray Allen gets it or Mike Miller gets it. Foul them immediately. Foul them immediately when you're up by 5. The worst that happens is you're up by 3 points.
3, yeah.
Then when because the clock is under 24 seconds, they can't play defense out for the rest for 24 seconds, get the ball back. They have to foul you. They have to play the foul game. That means if you make one of your next 2 free throw attempts, if you split them,
4,
you have a 4-point lead with 20 seconds left. Instead,
so they have to make that 3 in 20 seconds.
So you have to score twice in 24 seconds, and they have to be one has to be a 3. The worst you get is overtime. So like it was the idea that I know that Popovich, I think even in the press conference, some guy from Europe was like, why didn't you foul?
They were trusting their defense.
I was just about to get there. Like Pat, an Italian journalist in the post match. I remember watching it on ESPN News. Right after the game, because that's what I always did after the finals. I go right to ESPN News because that's the channel, where they show the post-match press conferences. And this Italian dude asked him a question in like an accent, and he was basically like, why didn't you foul when you were up 3 points? This is for the Ray Allen section, but the point still holds. And he was like, oh, you're a European. That's a European question, because in Europe, that's what they would do. In European basketball, if you're up 3, you foul. Maybe because they understand that like probably most of their guys can shoot free throws, so there's no real risk. But when I'm looking at it, I'm just like, if you're up 5, foul, especially if there's under 25 seconds left or under 24 seconds left. It makes perfect sense to foul. They have to make 2 in order to get the lead to 3.
Oh no. But I think again it goes to Adam's point. If you have so much faith in your defense, and you're going up against a team who are desperate, you just feel that the composure of your defense will force them into making an ill-advised shot, and you will then get that rebound. And then
you can argue that point, but what stops you defending? What stops defending?
Oh yeah, the foul.
No. This is just an overall just an overall point. What stops you defending? A rebound. A defensive rebound stops you from defending, and once you secure the basketball, you are now an offensive team. The issue is the Spurs on 2 occasions got the stops that they needed. LeBron bricked it the first time. It didn't. I don't even think it hit the rim. It hit the side of the backboard. Dwayne Wade tips it up. Mike Miller gets it. LeBron then makes another 3, but that's off an offensive rebound. The next sequence comes where they're down by 3 again. LeBron shoots it, misses. Chris Bosh gets the rebound, kicks it to Ray Allen. Now, before we get into that, the Spurs took off Tim Duncan.
Everyone
was not on the court. He had definitely double-digit rebounds, like 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. He was the Spurs rebounder in that game. But because they wanted to switch everything, but they were trying to stop threes, they wanted to switch everything, and they were like, yo, we can't have Tim Duncan in a pick and roll trying to keep up with the shooter. So they took out Duncan, and they put in maybe Danny Green or somebody else that could help switch. But you're looking at it like, if you had a big man in there to contest a Chris Bosh or that was taller than a Dwayne Wade, you could have secured the rebound. Duncan gets fouled. Now he just has to make one free throw and you win the championship. So if you are trusting in your defense, you have to end your defensive sequence with a defensive rebound. Otherwise, you're just continually defending, and you gave them four shots to make 2, and all of them were open.
It's correct. Oh, okay. So let's ride to the Ray Allen thing. So, as I said again, this is the most clutch shot in history, and so let's just go through our emotions when this happened. As I was watching it, I was glued to the whole thing. I was like, this thing is going down. My heart was beating. I don't know why, but my heart was literally beating in my chest. I was sweating. I was nervous and so forth. I think I wanted to piss or something. So the ball then goes out to Ray Allen. And because obviously this stuff happened so quickly, even as he shot it, because basically in my mind, because I wasn't even really listening to the commentary. And sometimes I sometimes even have it on mute because the sound is weird. So I wasn't sure who actually had the 3 because it happened so quickly. So once the ball went up, I was like, look, it's over. Because in my mind, look, it's over. When that thing went in, I was like, no. Oh my God. Because I think once that happened, the entire dynamics of the game changed. Just so your emotions when that 3 went in.
So LeBron shoots it, and he misses, and I'm thinking, well, let's go on Twitter and let's see like who's talking shit. Like this is another L for LeBron. I think that would have made him 1-4.
No, wait. Obviously, we'll get to the ramifications after.
Oh yeah, but like that miss, when that miss happened, I was like, I'm sure like all these things happened at once, but it was just like, well, that's that. But then like Chris Bosh, who set the screen on that sequence, if you watch it back, Chris Bosh sets the screen on Tony Parker. Boris Diaw is guarding LeBron James. But what happened this whole series was Greg Popovich was daring LeBron to shoot threes the whole series. So Boris Diaw was defending LeBron, who was basically a point forward. His feet were in like the circle in the key, I guess that's the official term. Like Boris Diaw was guarding LeBron beyond the 3-point line in the key, just basically saying, "Nigga, you can't shoot, so figure out a way." That's basically what they were saying to him. But on that sequence, when you're supposed to be guarding a 3-pointer, Boris Diaw's damn near at the free throw line. So I was watching it back. I was like, how come you're not on top of the screen? Like he should be far more connected to the screen. But he wasn't, because I guess that whole series for 6 games, he's just been used to backing off and playing off LeBron and daring him to shoot. So LeBron gets the ball and he shoots it. And Boris Diaw is supposed to switch, because remember, Tim Duncan isn't in the game because they're supposed to switch everything. Boris Diaw decides, no, I'm going to contest with Tony Parker, who has now switched on to LeBron. I'm going to contest. So LeBron shoots this shot and he sees 2 Spurs hands. Chris Bosh is like, well, let's go to the rim, because if he misses, maybe we get it. So now it's Chris Bosh with Ginobili and I think Danny Green underneath the basket. And there's really no contest there because one of them is 6'11" and the other ones are maybe 6'5" and 6'6". So when Bosh gets the ball, I don't remember what I did. But once Ray Allen got it, I was like, who else in the world would you want that ball to go to?
So even at that moment, you knew 100% it's in.
I was like, damn. Because I was like, this is a big shot. But like really, there's no time to think. But see, I'm a person when I watch a basketball game, and because I wouldn't say I'm a great shooter, but I'm a pretty damn good shooter. Okay.
Mm.
So when I watch basketball, especially I've watched basketball my whole life. I've played basketball my whole life. I know when a player thinks it's going in because I know when I think it's going. So I know what to look
Oh,
for.
no, it was perfect posture. No, that posture was perfect.
I know what the arc of a basketball going in
Yeah.
looks like from that angle on the television. I know what a shooter's posture is. I've seen Ray Allen shoot the ball 1,000 times. I know when it's a good shot for him. The only thing I was kind of worried about was Tony Parker going to foul. Because if it was me, I'm running to him and I'm trying to foul him. There's no way I'm letting him shoot that. But again, the Spurs want to trust their defense. So it was actually a really good job not to foul, but close out. But yeah, when Ray Allen shot, I was like, well, let's see. And I think it was Mike Green on the call where he was like, Ray Allen for the three, bang! And when he goes bang, I just remember going, oh my God. But I wasn't sure if it was a three. And that was another thing. I remember watching it again and thinking, when I watched this the first time, I wasn't sure. Did he get
I knew it was
in time? And where were his feet? Because it was on the baseline where or the sideline where we couldn't see. So then they stopped the game, they review it, one replay, you're like, damn.
Yeah, no. Even when it happened, I knew it was a three. Like, there's just a feeling where you're like, yeah, you know what? He did it. It was a dagger. It was a dagger.
None of them had timeouts, which was something when I watched the game again. I was like, yo, so if they clearly knew it was a three, I wonder what San Antonio do in the remaining 4 or 5 seconds if Miami don't have time to set their defense. Because logically, somebody would get the ball, your brain would be so scrambled as a member of the Miami Heat, like, fuck, we just made that shot. Like, this is an incredible moment. But if the Spurs inbound the ball quickly and there's no review to check if it was a three, now you have like 4 or 5 seconds left where Tony Parker, who can go 94 feet in 3 seconds, maybe, he's like, I can go. But what that timeout allowed was for Miami to set their defense and to catch their bearings, or to find their bearings, I guess is how the saying is said. And it was fortuitous for Miami because I think potentially if Tony Parker's if he gets the ball on the inbound and he's running at a team who's just like, fuck, what just happened? The crowd's going nuts. I think he could have gotten a way better shot than what he did after that timeout.
Okay. So let's now get back obviously to the crux why we're here. 50, almost an hour in. So, but we had to pretty much build up, man. We had to build up the whole story.
It's like an hour and a half.
My thing here is this: is that again, I began this by saying that I really believe in the butterfly effect.
Okay.
And I believe that a certain action has several reactions and a ripple effect happens because things happen in sequence. Like, it's like the whole domino effect. So if Ray Allen misses that three, again, very unlikely. Let's just say he misses that three. Spurs, they hold on to the ball. It's a foul and so forth, free throw, and Spurs win that. So the first thing is Miami would now be 1 in 3 of LeBron being in Miami. So LeBron in Miami would be a 1 in 3. So 100% the first thing that I would be thinking of is you lost the Mavericks, which was a shock, which you should have won. You beat a young Thunder team. So the first true peak team you faced, you lost to. And you lost at home.
And this wasn't even peak Spurs.
No, it wasn't even peak Spurs, but this is a more formidable team.
Was the team that swept in the first time,
but basically, this was a more formidable team than the Mavericks or the Thunder.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying like the first, not even peak team, but the first really good team you meet in the finals, except for the 07 team. Like that was peak Spurs, and they swept him. But now the just specifically for the Heat, so you lost to Dallas, you lost to some babies. But now, we finally give you a real team to play. And y'all lose?
No. So basically, It would have been bad. So my thing here is this, and I think the first thing is I look at psychology. 100%. The reason why I believe so, the Spurs beat the Heat in 5 the next year, or 6. I think it was 5.
I think it was 5. I think
5. So basically, 100% that was fueled by vengeance.
Vengeance, of course.
No, because I remember, I think they interviewed Nia Long, who I think her husband was actually on the sports team, I believe, or they interviewed someone, and they said that immediately after
Kerry Hilton. Was it Kerry Hilton?
So they said immediately after the game, Popovich literally took the entire team to like a restaurant, and he literally just had a get together with the entire team, and they were already planning for how to regroup for next year. So 100% that loss helped to fuel them and gave them the fire in their belly to be like, you know what, we're going to make it right because we should have won that. And because we thought that we should have won that would have feeling. So the thing though is, if Spurs win that, do they still have the same fire in their belly to defend their title?
Are Miami crushed to where they don't make it back the next year?
Or do you flip it? Do Miami have that fire in their belly? You see,
it could go either way.
You see, for me, the way that the Spurs lost,
put it this way,
heartbreaking that you're like, damn. See, if Miami had lost, was it really a heartbreaking thing? Spurs just seem to systematically break you down. So Spurs beating the Miami wasn't the same thing as the way that Miami ended up coming out of that game, coming out of the hole. So it's not like Miami lost by a last-minute dagger or something. It's the manner in which the Spurs lost. I was like, damn, this is so crushing because we were so close. Boom, we can come back. But if the Ray Allen shot doesn't go in, Spurs hold it. You didn't lose like in the last minute or through a dagger. It was just a systematic, tactical beatdown.
There's a perfect football analogy for this, bro. What if Drogba doesn't make that header in the 2012 Champions League final? Do you think Bayern win the treble the next year?
No.
They needed to lose in that fashion. So Ray Allen's 3 is like Drogba's header. It gets you to overtime or extra time.
Yeah.
And in that extra time, you do what you have to do. You win. And then I guess in the NBA context, there's still a game 7 to play where Tim Duncan has the layup that he should have made, which is another kind of butterfly moment. If Tim Duncan makes the layup in game 7, what happens? But you have to think about it like losing, and even in the college basketball context, there's a team called Virginia who were a number 1 seed. A number 1 seed had never lost to a 16 seed. It would be like Manchester United losing to Scunthorpe in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, like something that's never happened in their history, but it happens. The next season, they went on to win the NCAA championship. I think North Carolina in 2016, they lose in heartbreaking fashion, buzzer beater, last second shot in the national championship game to Villanova. The next year, they come back and they win the national championship because there's that motivation inside of them to say, like, we want to get back to where we were and we want to make it right. Some teams have the ability to make it right. Some teams don't. And obviously, I'm picking the ones that do. So the San Antonio team, the Virginia team, Bayern Munich, North Carolina, it's a thing in sports. Even like Muhammad Ali, I lose to Joe Frazier in New York, I think it was Thriller Manila, or I think that was the next fight. He wins. It's like that's kind of how it works. Like you need that motivation in order to come back and win. For some people, if the Spurs had won that chip, though, I think there's something in them that this run might be over. In terms of Duncan, I think is now in his late 30s. Parker's in his late 30s. Ginobili's in his late 30s. I think that loss gave them another 12 months of just energy to like, look, we need one more chip. So let's go get it.
Just one last ride out.
One last ride. You know,
so
I got one more in me, basically.
So my thing, though, is that now what's really fascinating is the LeBron story. Because my thing is, okay, if you go into LeBron's psychology, does he stay in Miami with all the kind of abuse and laughter he would have received throughout the summer? Does he still remain at Miami? Does he move to Cleveland? Because I think that he only moved to Cleveland when there was sort of. Wait, was Kyrie at Cleveland?
Yes.
During this time or the next season?
I think Kyrie's the 2013 NBA draft. Or the 2014 NBA draft,
because I think that'd have been key. Because my thing is that
sure.
does LeBron remain at Miami? Does he
2011? He's 2011 NBA draft.
Oh, okay,
so he played the 2011-20. So he was in the league, but still baby Kyrie. So
no, I mean, because my thing is that what happens to the Miami Heat? Do they?
Keep going. They keep going, man.
They keep with LeBron.
It just would have been, this happened to us again. Let's do what we did in 2012, where they lost to the Mavericks. They came back and beat the Thunder. So now we lose to this. Now we're going to do it again. So I think they would have given themselves like 4 or 5 seasons. Wasn't 2015 Anthony Bennett? So like the Cavs have been really lucky in the draft, by the way. And in terms of the number of pick they get, the player, but they imagine you get LeBron, Kyrie, Andrew Wiggins, and then you draft Bennett. So you got like 4 first-round picks, and I think 12 years, 13, 14 years.
So for Ray Allen then, do you think that shot crystallized his career, or if we take that shot, he doesn't make that shot. Okay, he doesn't make that shot. How do we now view Ray Allen?
The same we always did. It's if Drogba doesn't make that header, well, no, actually, it's a bit different for DJ. But it's almost like we know this guy. Ray Allen is just the coldest 3-point shooter ever.
He never made a shot that's iconic before.
He's had games that iconic though. So there were games.
But I'm talking about he's never had a moment like that. Because
nobody has. Like very few people have. Maybe like Robert Horry. Are you good?
Yeah, it's good. Okay. I think this is a clear thing because I want to explain this because I think this is okay. Maybe you want to agree or disagree, but this is my definition of clutch. You see, the shots that Robert Horry made, those aren't clutch. They're just buzzer beaters. 100%. They're amazing. They're amazing winners. They are game winners. I mean, they're damn good. The shot that Kawhi made, Raptors, amazing shot, amazing thing. It's not clutch. What Ray Allen did is clutch because of what was at stake, the context of the game, what was happening. What Drogba did, that was, it's almost somewhat that most clutch moments aren't actually winners. They're like lifelines. We were out, we were done. Oh, what? Out of nowhere, I can breathe. That's clutch. Like, gee, okay, I'm here. So I was almost done.
Hell, what were you just in?
I think I was like in some kind of like desert or something. I was basically climbing up a mountain. So yeah, that for me is clutch. See, for me, I don't think that we regard Ray Allen the same way without that shot.
I would, man. Ray Allen is just—he's the coldest, bro.
No. Let's
see. No. I love Ray Allen. So this is a little bit like
take you out of it. Take your ego out of it. Take your ego out of it.
I love Ray Allen.
Objectively speaking, Ray Allen would just.
That's Jesus Shuttlesworth you're talking about, bro. Jesus Shuttlesworth, get it right.
Yeah, no, look, okay. Jesus Shuttleworth would be seen as, this is definitely one of the best 3-point shooters that there's ever been. He'd just be like, this is definitely one of the best. That moment puts him in a special category because it's almost as if you need sort of like the balance.
I got you. I understand.
Yeah. So basically, so I think without that, you're like, okay, definitely one of the best. But he doesn't have that moment that you can look into. Like
on that comment though, because I do feel like you disrespected Robert Ory a lot. Big shot Bob, as he's affectionately known. Robert Ory had clutch shots, bro. I think it was Game 7 against the Pistons when he was with the Spurs, where he hit that last second 3-pointer in Game 7 to get them a win, or it might have been Game 6. Yeah, man, Robert Ory has some.
Wait, was that in the playoffs?
Yeah, against Sacramento, I think in 2001 or 2000. I think he hit another clutch shot to win like a game in the Western Conference. Like Robert Ory has some hella shots. Was it NBA Finals 94-95, or was that more Kenny?
So what? So do you agree or disagree with this? Kawhi shot against the Senators was in Game 7. It makes it automatically clutch.
A game winner in a Game 7 is clutch. but I will agree that there should be degrees to clutch.
Okay, thank you. Let's have certain
there's like clutch, and then there's like that's super clutch.
Like
and Ray
Allen's was more clutch.
Super clutch, like in 90 against the Jazz. Super clutch.
Wait. Do you know the best way to explain Star Dragoon? If Kawhi misses that, I believe they go into overtime. I believe they're going to overtime if Kawhi misses that.
This is a great point, Have Hope. This is a great point. If the game is tied, is it really that clutch? If the game is tied and you hit a game winner, is it really the same as when you're down 1 point or 2 points and you hit a game winner? It's not the same energy because you always know you have overtime to bail you out. If you miss, there's 5 more minutes left to play. Yeah. If you're down a point, so we're thinking like Vince Carter in 2001, or I think Michael Jordan in 1998. Yeah. It's the perfect moment. Like they're down, I think it's 86-87 or 85-86. Jordan steals the ball from Karl Malone, and you're down a point in Game 6. Obviously, they're up in the series 3-2, but if you miss, we're going to Game 7. Yeah. And Jordan does what he does, shakes off Byron Russell, and he hits the shot, and I think it's 87-86. Now they're winning, and they win the chip. But being down a point is totally different than when the game's tied. And being down 3 and you need 3, and you hit it in the finals with people leaving the stadium.
No, because again, like it's degrees of difficulty and how much your balls are sweating.
Game 5 against the Pistons. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. So basically, my thing is that if Ray Allen misses that, they lose the game. Everyone now craps on the Heat. You become the biggest laughing stock. Kawhi misses that, we go into overtime. Robert Ory misses that. How much of the fallout is there? So that's why it is the most clutch shot, because of the waiting and how much was on that moment. Because you have to look at the Miami Heat storyline. You have to look at the you have to even look at the Ray Allen storyline. Celtics. Because I just watched the First Take interview with Ray Allen and the Celtics when he was talking about how he left the Celtics, and watched the whole Area 51 with Paul Pierce, Perkins, Kevin Garnett, and so forth. So, see, Ray Allen doing that is like, guys, you can hate me all you want, bro. My move was vindicated, So, it was.
I always felt bad how that ended, though. It's just like Ray should have stayed with the Celtics, man.
Okay, where do you stand on that, though? Who was in the right, who was in the wrong?
It's hard to say who's right, who's wrong, but I feel KG's side more. It's just like we've been battling with the Heat. We've kind of made them like the enemy of our crew. Like they're the fuel that tries to get us going for this second championship that we're
Well, then
trying
he says
to
that it's just basketball, but it's just a sport. It is
no,
what
but
it is.
like
It's just a sport.
if you're in a brotherhood, like let's say you have beef with like another podcast, and I'm just like, yeah, man, I don't fuck with that podcast, dog, and I'm like, so I'm with it, I'm with you all the way, but then like they offer me a little bit more money, and then next thing you know, Daniel's on some next podcast. Wouldn't you feel like, hey, like for 3 years you would talk about, yo, fuck that podcast, you was with me, like you was with my energy, but now, oh, they want to offer you money and you go? Like that's some bitch ass shit. Like, why would you do that?
Dan, thanks for demonetizing this whole video because I think you've pretty much no it's all over now. You've explicitly, but it's cool.
Bitch ass demonetizes people.
Wait, do you know the kind of F bombs and N bombs you already dropped, man? Wait, this is interesting though. 100% yes. LeBron's block on Iguodala, yes. I mean, do you agree?
Kyrie's more clutch.
Both are clutch.
No, the Kyrie shot over Curry when nobody had scored for like 12 minutes or however long it was. Not 12 minutes, but nobody had scored. Although I guess you could say the Warriors would have scored had LeBron not had the block. But
So okay, so final thing on this. If
my bad about the monetization, bro.
Oh, no. Who cares? It doesn't matter. If Ray Allen misses that, do you think LeBron wins any more rings?
Yeah, probably. Because I think he always goes back to Cleveland. And the Warriors had already started what they were doing. So LeBron goes back to Cleveland. The Warriors think it's bubbling up by 2013-14. I think even San Antonio beat the Warriors to get to that finals, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, the Warriors were always coming up, and it would have always been Cavs v Warriors. So I probably win one. Mm-hmm. And if LeBron's goal was always to go to LA, which I think it probably was, because I think in his mind, he probably wanted to go from Cleveland, Miami, LA. That was probably his plan. But then once he left Cleveland the first time and the reaction that he got was just so adverse, he's probably like, okay, let me go back and let me see what I can do. And he won them a chip and all was forgiven. So, yeah, I think the Eastern Conference was LeBron James for 15 years. So he's definitely getting back to the finals. No question. And how many times has he been in the finals? 8, I think. I think his record is 9. I think
he did go like 6 or 7 straight finals.
I think he's 3-6 in the NBA finals. So he's lost 6 and he's won 3. If he was 6-3 instead of 3-6, what or if he had 7 rings. If LeBron had 7 rings, now this Jordan debate becomes very interesting. But
Okay, so guys, look, man, send in any questions for us, sort of like last 5-10 minutes, about 10 minutes. We'll just take any more questions for the final 10 minutes. So send in any questions for me and your boy Danny T before we get out of here, man. What was I going to say? Yeah, man, for me, I
have a question for you, but
okay, go for it.
Oh, how do you feel? How do you rate Eric Spoelstra?
That's a good question. You have to give him some credit, but I don't know how much credit you can truly give him when he had that much talent on his team. 100%. See, my thing is this. My thing is this: that
okay,
you can liken it to almost anything with like the Galacticos, the Brazil 06 team and everything. You can have talent in the world, and people will argue, well, if you have 5 guys as opposed to 11 guys, 5 guys, it's more likely for them to have, for that superstar to have a greater effect than having 11v11. But still, as much as you can always rely on a LeBron or a Wade or a Ray Allen just to do an iconic, isolated moment, Spoelstra still needs to be given some credit with regards to still coming up with specific plays at those specific times, because a lot of people have said this. LeBron and Jordan are different in the sense of LeBron still is reliant upon a coaching play. So he's still very coachable. Jordan is just an element in and of himself. But LeBron will still be like, all right, what is the right play to make? So I'm always going to make the right play. So he will always acquiesce to, bro, drop the plan. I will execute this plan. Jordan will be like, give me the ball. Let me do my thing. So I think Spoelstra, because he can easily get lost in the whole, because they had Jordan and Bosch and Wade and everything. But I just think that he definitely has to be given some credit, because again, he was also under some pressure as well. Because remember, people were saying that is Spoelstra the issue? Maybe he's just not up for it. Maybe they need a better coach. Maybe they need a right. Maybe it's just not the right coach to coach this superstar team. So he was under pressure as well after the Mavericks loss. So he definitely.
The Mavericks with Pat Riley.
What is it?
The Mavericks L. That might have been Pat Riley, but somebody would have to fact check me on that one.
Oh, that it was Pat Riley that was on the thing. Okay, so actually,
maybe not though. Maybe not. I think Pat Riley might have left in like somewhere in the mid 2000s.
So
with Shaq.
From Saman, how good is Russell Westbrook really? Look, my thing about Westbrook is this: he's okay. This is how I see Westbrook. He is probably one of the most exciting, athletic, dynamic basketball players that I've possibly ever seen. But there's a thing called decision making. And I think that at critical moments, he doesn't make the right decision. And I think that's what separates the truly great players from the really talented ones. He is one of the most talented players out there. And in terms of ability, he's amazing. But the guys in that 1% are, because remember, what is so exciting about basketball are those final 2 minutes. Yeah, you can do all you want in the 3 quarters. Those final 2 minutes, every play counts. And every decision you make counts. Should you really have gone for the 3? Should you really have passed? Should you have gone in and gone for the layup? Maybe the 2 is much more advisable. Go in there, get the 2, get the foul. So these decisions that you make in the final 2 minutes are key, because the thing with Westbrook is that you can miss the 3s, do all the stuff in the 3 quarters. In those final 2 minutes, no, everything now has to count. And I think his biggest drawback with all his talents is his decision making.
How good is Russell Westbrook really? When Nipsey Hussle passed, this guy got 20 points, 20 rebounds, and 20 assists in one game. 20 for a 6'3" point guard. That's how good Russell Westbrook is.
Okay. So you would always have him on your and you would trust him in the final 2 minutes of a game.
That's a different question. Those are 2 different questions. Would I have him in my team? Yes. Do I want him holding the ball in the last 2 minutes? Probably not.
Is Patrick Ewing slept on?
Not really. Yes. I mean, it depends on the generation. Like,
wasn't it supposed to bring? Okay, because the people would say like he was.
If you were watching basketball,
bring a ring to the Knicks, but Jordan was in the way. Wait, did he ever even? So did he always get knocked out by Jordan or by the Pacers? Because obviously Chicago were in the East. So that'll be the key. Who was he always knocked out by when he was at the Knicks?
Pacers, Heat, Bulls. I believe in 1994 they did make it to the NBA Finals, and they just ran into a really good Rockets team with Clyde Drexler. No, Clyde Drexler might have been the 95 season. So like Hakeem Olajuwon was basically the only name you need to know. But yeah, when Jordan retired and tried to play baseball, that left a vacuum for the Houston Rockets to win a chip. So they got to the finals. They just never made it to that top level. But once you get into like 95, 96, 97, it's MJ, dog.
Okay, no, this is a great one to end on, and I love this question. What's more impressive, Jordan's double three-peats or LeBron's chip with Cleveland? Bro, this, for me, I'm sorry, this is a good question.
That is a terrible fucking question. You're asking me, are 6 rings better than 1 ring? No.
Let me explain. Let me explain. Jordan for me is the GOAT. Let's just put it right. Jordan is the GOAT.
I don't care about the city, Double H.
Man, let me land. Can I land? Can I please land?
No, I know where you're going. No.
Let me land.
Okay,
because let me. Even if you know where I'm going, let me go there, my way. Now, Jordan is a GOAT. Let's just put that to rest. He is the greatest basketball player of all time, 100%. Don't tell me Scottie Pippen is trash. Don't tell me Dennis Rodman is trash. They're not as good as Jordan. They're not trash players. Yes, I get it. When Jordan left, Hakeem Olajuwon, Niger, even if he gave up his Nigerian nationality, which is fair enough.
I was going to say.
Yeah, he took everything off when Jordan left. But my thing is that the very fact that Cleveland had never won a chip before. That's the first thing. And when you look at the manner in which they did it, what's it called? First time ever team was 3-1 down, and to win 4-3. All I'm saying is we can have the conversation.
No, you can't. Like it's no offense.
Wait. Okay, before you go, this is a great point. Excellent point. And I believe I'm going to steal this point from Shannon Sharp. Shout out to Shannon Sharp. I'm going to steal this point from Shannon Sharp. Skip. Come on, skip. Okay. Daniel.
Yes.
Don't even begin to tell me that Jordan faced any team as lethal as those Warriors. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't you dare do it. Don't.
Okay. So in 1991 in the NBA, he played the Lakers with Magic and Worthy. In 1992, he played the Blazers with peak Clyde Drexler. In 1993, he played the peak Phoenix Suns with Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson. 96, you're looking at peak Sean Kemp, Detlef Shrimp, and Hersey Hawkins and Gary Payton. And I could make an argument that the Utah Jazz with Stockton, Malone, and Jerry Sloan are a very underrated team. And that's not even taken into account. So you have to face Alonzo Mourning and Mr. Hardaway with the Heat. You have to go through Reggie Miller, Rick Smits and the Pacers. You got to go through Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Charles Oakley and the Knicks. Like the runs that the Bulls had to make through those playoffs, the Warriors, I don't think they had to face that amount of really good teams.
Wait, no, real quick. Down. Did any of them finish without record in the regular season? Those teams that you mentioned, did they finish without record in the regular season?
That's a reflection of the state of the NBA.
Oh God.
And Jordan did go 72-10 and won the chip at the end. So
all I'm saying is this. No, guys, look, I feel Jordan's feats. No. Okay, look. My thing is this. That Warriors team is a problem. And I would love to see how the Bulls would deal with.
You're talking.
Yeah, let me land, please.
You're missing a key point, though, man.
No, wait, easy. I would love to see how that Jordan Bulls team would deal with two dudes who can score a three from Neptune. They can shoot from Neptune and score on Earth. I would love to see how the Bulls would deal with that stupidity. I don't know what happened in those 2-3 minutes in that game 7, but that's a cheat code. That's a cheat code. And that's a cheat code that he didn't have to deal with in on his run, where you have two dudes who you can't defend them. It's stupid.
Who was in that 2016 Warriors side?
So obviously, Corey was there.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy Klay Thompson was there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I need.
Now, if you wanted to, if LeBron's ring had come against the Curry, Thompson, Durant teams, then I would say, you know what, that's pretty fucking impressive to beat.
No, Daniel, come on, that's impossible. No, Daniel, nobody can beat that.
Comparing it to 2 3-peats. I'm not saying it's not impressive. Of course, what LeBron did in 2016 was hella impressive. Also, I hate when people bring up the city of Cleveland as some sort of accomplishment. There's nothing in the city of Cleveland that is stopping them. The basket.
Sorry. I mean, maybe did Chicago win before Jordan, or was that their first ever win?
Those are their 6 and only.
Okay.
But that doesn't matter. The city doesn't matter unless we're talking about free agency. Every arena you go to, the basket's 10 feet tall. The free throw's 15 feet behind the basket or in front of the basket. The 3-point line is 23 feet and 9 inches away. Like everything is the same. The city does not matter. What matters is the players. So if you put LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love, and the rest of those guys, I think Iman Shumpert, I don't know if J.R. Smith was on that team. I think he might have been. You put them on the floor. You put Cleveland on them. You put Neptune on them. You put Uranus on them. You put Milky Way, Andromeda. It doesn't matter. The same thing happens. So when you say, oh, what he did for Cleveland, I don't care about Cleveland is inconsequential. So is Golden State. What magic did the Bay sprinkle on the Golden State Warriors? It didn't make Klay Thompson was hitting those shots, I think, in Arizona, whatever college he came from. Steph Curry was hitting them from 40 in Davidson. So in college, the city's inconsequential. So I don't really care, but that's not a strong point. What LeBron did for Cleveland. Cleveland have never won anything in the past 10,000 years. What did that have to do with the 13 people and the coaches on that squad? It had absolutely nothing to do with it. Going on that Cleveland rant, I lost my point. Is it LeBron's ring or is it that team's ring?
Oh no! It's okay.
Because I can make an argument without Jordan, we would get what we saw in 1994 and 1995. That Chicago didn't even make the finals. Okay, but with him, they did 3 3-peats.
Do Cleveland make the finals without LeBron?
I don't know. Probably not.
No, Daniel, don't Daniel, get up. Induct that probably out of your sentence. No. Okay, so get that probably out of here. No, wait. Is it quick? My thing is this 100%. Look. So Jordan is on the next level, and look, he never sniffed a game 7, which is huge. He never ever even sniffed a game 7. In those 6 championships, to never ever sniff a game 7, that for me even ends the argument. And also, he was fully clutch because again, you look at that game, the guy who came clutch was Kyrie. The guy who came clutch in that block was clutch, but the clutch shot was from Kyrie.
That's my point.
So
that it can't be LeBron's chip with Cleveland. It's like the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Chicago Bulls. That's the point. It would be like. What's more impressive to you, Have Hope? The Real Madrid winning 4 Champions Leagues in 5 seasons or Chelsea's 1 Champions League? Objectively speaking.
Wait. Say again.
What's a more impressive feat in football? Chelsea winning the Champions League in 2012 or Real Madrid winning 4 out of 5 Champions Leagues when nobody had ever even gone back?
No, I want to Real Madrid, obviously.
So how can you give me 1 ring with Cleveland versus 2 three-peats? Now, obviously, people have three-peated in the NBA, but 2 in the same decade, and the same man is the catalyst. He retires, they're a bit bad. He comes back, they win 3. Like, you can't. If the argument is the 2016 championship the most impressive, improbable championship we've ever seen, now I can give you, of course, like what that Warriors team was, 73-9. It's the greatest like triumph perhaps of any team other than maybe the Dallas Mavericks against that super heat team. But if you give me 6 rings, how can I take 1 ring over 6? 6? I can't do it.
Look, all I'm saying is that you can have a conversation, and when you have the conversation,
I mean, we just did.
No. The issue is some people don't even want to have the conversation. But for me, let's have the conversation. When you have the conversation, bro, didn't stay for game 7, 2 3-peats, was MVP in all those games, was the best player in all those games.
Jordan never touched game 7. People talk about the manner which LeBron won the chip. Jordan never touched game 7. LeBron's been in like 6 game 7s, bro. I don't like, well, maybe not, because they got swept by the Spurs. But yo, LeBron in game 7 is a really good player, by the way. Like game 7, LeBron is a player you want in your team. But that's not the point. LeBron never even had to touch game 7. He won all his chips in at least 6. No more than 6. And finals MVP all 6 times. And his record 6-0. No L's, though. No L's.
No. That is crazy.
But like that means even if LeBron won 7 rings and he was 7-3 in the finals, he has L's.
No. I think even if people will win more than him, the fact that this guy has never ever tasted
defeat.
So basically, to round this off, let's just round this off.
Okay.
So in your eye, there is nothing LeBron can do to even come close to Jordan, even if he wins for the Lakers.
This wasn't supposed to end here, man. LeBron beat Jordan. It always happens.
No one, look, bro. Nobody is touching Jordan in my view. But all I'm saying is that if he was to win for the Lakers, Jordan 3 different teams, adaptability, versatility.
But the only constants in Jordan's two three-peats are him and Scotty. The rest of the team changes. So in the early ones, you have like Paxson, Hodges, Horace Grant,
Tony Kukoc.
Yeah, but Tony Kukoc comes in the three-peat. So then over at 94-95, the Bulls change, and then we get into the Luke Longley, Dennis Rodman, Kukoc, Ron Harper, those teams. But the only 2 constants, 3 constants, I suppose, Jordan, Scotty, and Phil. I'm not sure anyone else has the 6 rings other than those 2, but so that there's that point. But it wasn't supposed to end here. It was supposed to be like, look, if Ray Allen misses that shot, I don't think the trajectory of the NBA changes too much, but our perception of how great LeBron James is does.
Oh no, it changes huge.
Especially because if Ray Allen misses, people don't talk about the Ray Allen miss. They talk about the LeBron miss before the Ray Allen miss.
No, we're not. Yeah, basically,
Ray Allen's miss would be a footnote on TV the next day. It will be LeBron had the chance to win it,
and he'll only have himself to blame based on how you put yourself out there.
Right.
So, and my thing is that will be a test of his character,
sneakily,
as to how he reacts to the abuse.
You know a name we haven't mentioned yet?
Who?
Where was Dwayne Wade? Where was he? I watched the game. Like I said, it came on TV.
Wasn't
Dwayne Wade was like on the bench sometime.
Wasn't he not seeing an injury? I think he was carrying an injury. I think.
I don't know, but Dwayne Wade was kind of like, maybe Spoelstra was just like, I'd rather have Mike Miller hit a shot with one shoe. I forgot that moment even happened, but maybe he just wanted like his shooters out there, and Dwayne Wade's not really a shooter. But yeah, I was like, Dwayne Wade, he would have escaped criticism as well. That's another reason why I think the team would have stayed together, because LeBron would have taken all the heat, no pun intended, and like they just would have gone again. And I think they probably would have won the next time, because San Antonio wouldn't have been.
Yeah, the
team. It probably would have been another rematch with the Thunder.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and that could have been interesting if they were fully fit. So it's a big game. Obviously, you know, we can talk about the game and the ramifications for 2 hours, but you know.
Okay, good look, guys. That's all for a little NBA thing. If you want me and the expert, as you can hear, the expert himself, Donatello, to do any other NBA discussions, any other games, any other moments, any other debates, or so forth, put it in the comments below. If you want us to discuss about any other thing NBA, put it in the comments below. But with that being said, Murray Allen, bro, you saved LeBron's hide, man. Guys, we're out. Peace out, stay true. Peace.
Peace.
And we